Hello, good afternoon. What's new in 2022 when it comes to inheritance tax and estate planning? Okay, I'm Michael Davies. I'm a Spanish lawyer and I'm specialized in estate planning and probate for expats in Spain, both out of court and in court where is necessary. Okay, we've got some news for this year regarding inheritance tax. The first thing is that Andalucía, and I'm only going to talk about inheritance tax in Andalucía today. The first thing is that Andalucía, in its quest to be the most beneficial region of Spain regarding inheritance tax, to try and attract investors and people retiring, and in effect be the Florida of Europe, they have now made a new change just again, and that is that they've reduced the exempt amount for group 3, which are cousins, brothers and sisters, to €10,000. It's not a very large difference, but each cousin or brother is now entitled to €10,000 tax-free. As you know, since the year before last, beneficiaries in group 1 and 2 in Andalucía are entitled to €1 million tax-free, but that is conditional on the beneficiary having a pre-existing wealth of less than €1 million. But if your pre-existing wealth is more than €1 million, don't worry. It's not a big problem, because in addition to that exemption, that is conditional on that pre-existing wealth, there is another exemption available in Andalucía to group 1 and 2 beneficiaries, that's spouse and descendants, which is that you're allowed a 99% reduction on your final tax bill. The conclusion is that in Andalucía, if you're inheriting from your spouse or from your parent or from your grandparent, you will pay either pay no tax or close to no tax. A lot of people are confused, including other lawyers, regarding this business of the pre-existing wealth as a condition, thinking that if the pre-existing wealth is over €1 million, you're not allowed the 99% reduction either. That's not correct. There are two different deductions. One is to do with the reduction of the taxable base, that is the first €1 million is exempt, while the other one is a reduction to the final tax bill. And that one you'll always be entitled to if you're inheriting from your spouse or from your grandparent or parents. Okay, something new and very important, especially to British beneficiaries. Now, in Spain, the Andalucía exemptions, to be entitled to them, initially you had to be a beneficiary resident in Spain. Then the European Court of Justice extended that benefit to residents of other countries of the EU who were inheriting in Andalucía. And that was great, of course, until Brexit came along. And then suddenly the British residents were left out in the cold when they were inheriting they're inheriting their property in Andalucía. Because without the Andalucía exemptions, the actual level of inheritance tax in Spain are extremely high. They're high without those exemptions. Okay, as some of you know, we've actually already been claiming those exemptions for residents in third-party countries for the last 3 or 4 years based on various sentences. But it was always a question of presenting them and then touching wood and hoping that the taxman didn't come back and say, pay up and then take us to court. It seems to have worked successfully. But finally, in July of last year, the Spanish legislator established that those exemptions could also now be claimed legally by residents of third-party countries and not just by residents of EU countries, which resolved the doubts and the problem regarding whether For example, English people, residents in the UK with a property in Marbella could claim the exemptions or not. It made a tremendous difference to levels of inheritance tax. So that's the basic news regarding inheritance tax. Then we've got the business of the plusvalía tax. As you may or may not know, when you inherit a property, there's the main tax, which is the inheritance tax. That now is normally very low in Andalucía in most cases, if you are spouse or descendant. But we also got another tax called plusvalía tax, which is a tax you pay to the town hall. You may have heard off the grapevine that this tax was declared unconstitutional a couple of months ago. But unfortunately, the government has immediately jumped into action and created a new plusvalía tax with a different method of calculation, so that in principle makes it legal again and therefore claimable. If you're inheriting and the inheritance is based on a death that happened before that law was declared unconstitutional, then in my opinion, they cannot claim the plusvalía tax in relation to that death, because the law was declared unconstitutional. It did not have, it was not retroactive to payments that had already been made before the sentence came out, but I think it does cover those situations where we haven't signed the inheritance deed and therefore there's been no bill for plusvalía tax issued yet. I don't think they can now issue the bill. It's a bit of a grey area and we're still studying what happens in those cases. So what else is there new? Well, going outside of of the business of inheritance tax purely, the business of transfer tax, I'm happy to say that for one more year, the regional government of Andalucía has decided that they're going to keep this reduced rate of 7% in Andalucía for the whole of 2022. Instead of the sliding scale that used to start at 8% and went up to 10%. So we've got one more year of the reduced transfer tax, also one more year of the reduced document tax on new properties, which is 1.2 instead of 1.5. The other news that we've got that's not strictly to do with inheritance tax is the situation regarding the 720 form. This is Declaration of Assets Abroad. This form that terrorized many residents in Spain because it made them declare their worldwide assets with very serious penalties if they didn't declare them correctly. This law has been 720. The European Court of Justice has declared that it is illegal. So for the moment, we don't have the obligation of the 720 form. And if you've received any of these extremely almost medieval fines, because they could go up to 150% of the amounts non-declared. They can now, if you have received one of those fines, you won't have to pay them. If you've already paid them, you need to speak to a lawyer to see if you can claim that money back. In principle, we're not going to make these claims, but if you like, contact us. We're still trying to work out study the situation. Maybe in the end we do. It just depends on the amount of claims that exist, because it's a lot of work if we only have to do one claim. But if we don't do the claims, which is the most likely scenario, we'll try and find out who's handling them and who knows what they're doing in relation to these what everyone's going to be calling the 720 claims. That's it, I think, for the moment. Thank you for watching. I hope you found the information useful, and I'll see you in another video. Thank you.